Hey everybody, my name is Haley Warren, and today we are going to be going over comparing pairs of two-digit numbers. If you go by Alabama State Course of Study, that is number 13 under first grade. First, we're going to go over our objective for the day, and our objective is that you'll be able to use place value terminology to explain the use of greater than, less than, and equal to compare numbers. We're going to go over these definitions. First, we're going to look at symbol. Symbol represents something. And these are our symbols. Our greater than, less than, and equal to signs are symbols. Inequality. An inequality is when you compare two things and they're not equal. Equality is when you compare two things and they are equal, so they're the opposite of each other. So we're going to go ahead and look at our greater than symbol. This is our greater than symbol. Some other words for greater are larger, bigger. A way to think of the greater than symbol is to think of an alligator's mouth. Because an alligator's mouth wants to eat the bigger or greater number or thing. It wants to eat the most that it can. And this would be our alligator's butt. This is our less than symbol. Less means smaller. Our alligator's butt would be facing the smaller number because it wouldn't want to eat that. And then everybody should know what the equal to symbol already means. And equal means same. So we're going to go over a little story about alligators that likes, and Allie the alligator that likes to eat large numbers. Allie the alligator. There once was an alligator. Allie was her name. She loved to eat big numbers, so she made a fun game. She was always hungry, so the little numbers would never do. She only wanted big numbers. They were so yummy to chew. When she ate those big numbers, it put a smile on her face. She would start singing this song all over the place. I love big numbers. Yes, I do. They taste so good to me. Crunch, crunch, munch, munch, munch. Crunch, crunch, munch, munch, munch. Crunch, crunch, munch, munch, munch. They taste so good to me. So when you're thinking of your symbols, think of Allie the alligator who wants to eat big numbers. In circle 1 here, I have A. And then in circle 2 here, I have B. If the amount in A was larger, greater than B, we would use our greater than sign because our alligator wants to eat the bigger amount. If B was larger than A, our alligator would want to eat B if there was more in B. Our alligator's butt is always going to face the smaller side. Just think of them as Mr. and Miss Alligator. Another way to think of the less than sign, you can write less, and then L is like the less than sign, it's just turned straight. Just like that. So that's the way to think of the less than. Now we're going to look at comparing an amount of something. I'm going to draw 11 cookies in our first circle. Over here, I'm going to draw 13 cookies. All right, let's count our cookies over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm just gonna write that up there so we can remember. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. If we look at the first number, they're both a 1. So we're gonna go ahead and look at the second number, which is a 1 and a 3. We can count 1, 2, 3, and know that 1 is gonna come before the 3. So 1 is smaller. We should already know that counting our numbers, that 1 is smaller. So that means that this is smaller, our alligator or our sign is going to be the less than symbol because this one, 11, is smaller. Think just that you would want to eat more cookies. An alligator would want to eat more cookies, so you'd want 13 instead of 11 cookies. I'm going to take 2 cookies away out of this one. Since I didn't change anything on that one, we know that it's still 11. So let's count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We have 11 cookies in this one. We know that just by reading it that the 2 are the same. 11 and 11, there's just the same amount of cookies in each of them. And we can remember that same means equal. So our amount of cookies in each circle are equal. And I'm going to add 1, 2, 3, 4 cookies to this one. So let's count what we have now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So now we have 15 cookies in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And 11 cookies in here. We know that these two numbers are the same, and we can look at the second number, and this one's a 5. A 5 is 4 larger than a 1, so we know that it's already bigger. And bigger means greater, so we use our greater than symbol. The alligator wants to eat the most cookies. Now we're going to do some real examples using real numbers. We've got 10 and we've got 14. We can look at this first number and know that they're the same. So we're going to move on to our second number. That's a 0, so it's small. That's a 14. That's a 4. So 4 we know is bigger than 0 because 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 comes after it. So the alligator is going to want to eat 14. Which is our greater than sign because 14 is greater than 10. Okay. Let's do another one. We've got 26 and we've got 18. look at our first place and know that automatically 2 is bigger than 10. 20s are bigger than 10, so this is going to be greater than 18, so we would use our greater than symbol. I'm going to stop using the alligator terms now that we're doing these real problems with real numbers, just so we can get in the habit of thinking about what's the big number. Let's do okay, we've got 33 and we've got 33. Just by saying those numbers, we know we're saying the same number, and same means equal, so it would be equal to. We use our equal symbol. Our equal ones are easy just because you know if it's the same number, that's what it is. Let's do some larger numbers. All right, we've got 73 and 89. Look at these two numbers. 8 is bigger than 7. Our 70s and 80s, we know that's larger. So we would use our less than symbol because 73 is less than 89. When you're thinking about what symbol you're going to use, you want to look at this first number and determine if it is smaller or bigger than your second number, because this is going to face that way. Our butt is going to face that way. We'll do one more example. We've got 97 and 93. They're both in their 90s, so we're going to look at the second number. 7 is larger than 3, so 97 is going to be greater than 93. Alright, since the lesson is finished, I would ask my students if they had any questions. I would ask if there was anything about the lesson they didn't understand, if there was a certain symbol they didn't understand, if there was more problems that they wanted me to work through so they could see more practice of it, or if there was a specific one that they weren't sure about. And then we would go over our lesson, which is called the Hungry Alligators. And all you need for this activity is your Hungry Alligator activity sheets. And these are from the STEM Laboratory blog. I found it on Pinterest. Your second activity sheet, and this is just a record sheet where you'll get your answers and write it in. And then you have your symbols that kind of look like little alligators, your cookies, and some real alligators. And that is all, and the student will just need a pencil. And that is an individual activity that I would say takes about 15 minutes. And that is all for my lesson today, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to do our activity now, which I would teach after I taught the lesson. We would move on to this activity. I would get a student to come up and give an example of how to do this, but I'm going to be showing everything. So all you need is your record sheet, your activity sheet. I've got a stack of cookies with 2-digit numbers on them. My 2 alligators that are my lesser than and greater than, Miss Alligator and Mr. Alligator. And then some more realistic lesser than and greater than symbols.
So it says your first number, your symbol, and your second number. So it labels everything for the student. And I got this activity from the STEMlaboratory.com. So first, you're gonna just draw from your stack. You'll take your first number and put it where it says first number. Now I'm gonna work through this whole activity. That's a big number. Well, I guess it matters. Your next one, and put it right here under second number, and your symbol. So we're gonna look at these two numbers and see which one's greater. This is in the 90s and this is in the 80s. So we're gonna take our greater than Mr. Alligator and put it on the symbol because 95 is greater. And we'll move over here and where it says number 1, this is our first problem, and we'll work through 12 of these. We're writing this stuff down so later on, after everybody's done the activity, the teacher can just go through and check these instead of going student to student through the whole activity. So I'll put 95 is greater than 81. This also helps the student just writing out the symbols instead of looking at the cartoon version of things, and gets them in the habit of it. So I'll move these 2 cookies over. I'll just put them under here. And my first number, my second number, I've got 42 and 59. 42 is less than, so I'm taking Miss Alligator. Her mouth is facing to the bigger number, and I'll write that down. 42 is less than 59. And we'll do this 6 times like this, and then we're gonna get our other symbols. This activity doesn't take long, probably 15 minutes, and is a single person activity, not a group activity. So we have 56 and 67. Our 50s comes before our 60s. So we're gonna take our greater than symbol, Miss Alligator, and stick her right in the middle. And then we'll write down 56 is less than 67. Put our cookies underneath. Grab another one, put it on first number and second number. 63, well, that's not a 2-digit number, so I don't know why that's in there. 63 and 90, I don't know why they put that in there. Most of these are 2-digit numbers, so, or equal sign too. 63 and 90. We've got 90, which is larger because 60s come before 90s. So we're gonna take Miss Alligator. Her mouth is eating the larger amount of cookies. A good way to think about this is that the alligator wanna eat as much cookies as she could. So she's gonna wanna eat 90 cookies rather than 63. So write that down. 63 is less than 90. We've got 90 again. And 13, I just moved that because it's a 3-digit number. 90 is much larger than 13. So we'll take Mr. Alligator and put him right there, because he's gonna eat 90 cookies instead of 13 cookies. So I'll write 90 is greater than 13. We've got one more of these. 73 and 29. 73 and 29, our 70s come after our 20s and is a lot larger. It's good that students are very familiar with counting in tens, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 to do this activity. That's what they should have good knowledge of that, and the equal symbol and the terms, knowing what's bigger and smaller. So Mr. Alligator is gonna eat 73 cookies. So 73 is greater than 29. So now the teacher would come around and she would take Mr. and Miss Alligator away, and the students would just be left with the more realistic, the actual symbols. They just have eyes. So that leaves 6 more. So you get to practice 6 with the alligators and 6 with the symbols. We've got 24 and 35. We go 10, 20, 30. Our 20s come first, so they're smaller. So our Miss symbol, she's a girl, we'll go right there. 24 is less than 35. Just move those. We've got 36 and 39. See, these are similar because they're both in their 30s, but we know 9 is bigger than 6. So 36 is smaller. So we're gonna use our lesser than symbol. So 36 is less than 39. We've got 49 and 42. Again, these are both in the same tens section for both 40s. So we'll look at the 9, the second number. We know that 9 is bigger than 2. So we're going to use the greater than symbol. So 49 is greater than or larger than 42. I might need those. And I don't know if we'll get an equal to symbol. We really do an equal to symbol on these just because there's so many different numbers. So if we got 82 and 22, 8 is much larger than 2, looking at the first number. And then, so we're gonna do the greater than symbol. 82 is greater than 22. We've got 2 more. $64 and 71. So we've got 64 and 71. 60s come before our 70s, so this is going to be smaller, so we're going to use our lesser than symbol. 64 is less than 71. Can't use that. All right, 77 and 13, and this is our last one. 77 is much larger than 13. Our 10s come before our 70s. So we're going to use the greater than symbol. 77 is greater than 13. All right, that is all for this activity. Some questions I would ask after this activity is if taking these alligators away made it harder by just using these symbols, or if it was an easy way to get them started. I think it was a great way just to get them started and gradually move into just the symbols, and it makes it cute and fun. And if using these helped them. And all right, that's all for my activity.